Welcome back to Music Kingdom. Whether we're talking late 80s, early 90s hip-hop through contemporary hip-hop, whether we're talking more underground hip-hop to more mainstream hip-hop, when it comes to Mac Miller specifically, he is a hip-hop artist I just never really got into or took the time to explore or study. So in this video, I thought it was time to listen to, give a music theory breakdown for, and have the audacity to blindly review 2009 by Mac Miller from the album Swimming. Hang tight. Hey music lovers, my name is Francis. If you'd like to support the work I put into these videos, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support the channel even further, you'll find Music Kingdom's Patreon and other affiliate links in the description below. Now before we give the song a listen, let's briefly talk 2009 by Mac Miller. Typically at this part of the video, I provide either history, context, facts, trivia regarding the artist, the album, or the track itself. However, I think it's safe to assume a majority of you watching this are going to know far more about Mac Miller than myself, since of course I do acknowledge I'm only just now beginning to really explore his work. So for what it's worth, I still will provide some information regarding the track and the album, just in case someone stumbles upon this video not knowing all too much about Mac Miller. Otherwise, I will encourage you, the viewer, to leave a comment down below with any information, context, history, facts, trivia that you know about either the making of this album, the making of this track, or Mac Miller himself. 2009 is from Mac Miller's 5th studio album titled Swimming, released in 2018, and to my knowledge picked up a Grammy nomination for Best Album of the Year. To my knowledge as well, while I don't really keep up with celebrity stuff, it is relevant to know that a lot of the inspiration for this album is supposedly derived from Mac Miller's breakup with Ariana Grande. Overall, recurring themes on this album are going to be themes of self-love, healing, and growth. Now, regarding the track 2009, specifically from what I've gathered, it is a reflective song titled 2009 because it really is Mac Miller thinking back to around the time right before his fame really exploded and discussing in some way, shape, or form the lessons he's learned since. Now you, the devoted Mac Miller fans, will have to confirm this part for me, but I've also heard that the rapping throughout the song was in fact a freestyle. And since admittedly I'm not super confident in my knowledge of Mac Miller, I cannot confirm nor deny whether that is historically accurate or not. But if it is, I must admit that does add a certain extra level of badassery to the song. Now to further elaborate on my lack of expertise regarding Mac Miller, I must admit, I do recall when he arrived at the scene, wow, many years ago now, makes me feel old. I do remember getting a taste of what he was putting out then, right? And only then. And already at that time, not really having a taste for it, not really being my cup of tea regarding his style of hip hop. Now, why do I say all of that? Because my point is, I became out of the loop, and to my knowledge, even though I won't claim to know a whole lot about Mac Miller, I have heard that he absolutely had an artistic evolution, that the quality of his work got better and better and better. So that's what I'm here to educate myself on today, and of course with your help in the comments, any song recommendations by Mac Miller, particularly deep cuts, would be greatly appreciated. For what it's worth, I did consider a blind review of the song Self-Care instead of 2009, but from what I've told, 2009 is more up my alley to the people who know my tastes. And I've heard it's also just a beautiful song. Final disclaimer, on this channel we do review music, and so if there's any criticism, I am not attacking Mac Miller, I am not trying to disrespect those who have passed away, none of that. So at long last, it's time to give the song a listen. I will be pausing periodically to give my thoughts and to avoid any copyright strikes. And be sure to stick around after the song for a music theory breakdown. Then we're going to divide the song into various categories, grading them each, and arriving at an overall score. Wow. Gorgeous intro. You don't hear that a lot in hip hop. Wow. Not what I would expect from a Mac Miller song. I could listen to this for 5-6 minutes. Thoughts so far? If this is indicative of what I'm in for when checking out more of Mac Miller, sign me up. Even if it is just an introduction, I do find it absolutely stellar and something that you really rarely hear in hip-hop music. And when I was researching information on this song for this video, I did see that there were a ton of producers and writers, which usually for me is a bit of a turnoff unless it's really well done. And basically, as soon as I started this song, I thought it was very well done.
Yeah.
Very pretty.
Well, I don't need to lie no more. Nowadays, all I do is shine, take a breath and ease my mind. She don't cry no more. She tell me that I get her high, cause an angel's supposed to fly. I ain't asking why no more. Oh no, I take it if it's mine. I don't stay inside the lines. It ain't 2009 no more. Yeah,
those beats these days
yeah.
Sound the same or very generic. This one feels very fresh.
Well, the light was dim and this light was sin. Now every day I wake up and breathe.
Well produced.
I don't have it all, but that's alright with me. Take it nice and easy, took a flight to see me. Send you back home with a light that's beaming. The whole team about to figure it out. We ice cold, that's what winter about. And sometimes, I wish I took a simpler route. Instead of having demons that's as big as my house. Have a ball with it, dribble and bounce.
Great lyrics.
Cause the party ain't over till they kicking me out. Yeah,
I like the vulnerability and
we
honesty.
can make a lot of money, buy a lot of things just to feel a lot of ugly. I was high.
As simple as this is, it does feel even still artistic.
But I don't need to lie no more. Nowadays all I do is shine, take a breath and ease my mind. She don't cry no more. She tell me that I get her high, cause an angel's supposed to fly.
So far, I'm very impressed with just how nice it sounds, and I don't mean to insult Mac Miller or his reputation. I think it's just more about the current state of hip-hop, even though this is from 2018. I think subconsciously expect it to kind of just sound cheap or trappy or redundant or forgettable, unoriginal. But to me, this feels very fresh. It feels like it has some sort of vision to it, and it has a nice artistry to it. The production is crisp, and I want more.
She tell me that I get her high, cause an angel's supposed to fly. I ain't asking why no more. Oh no, I take it if it's mine. I don't stay inside the lines. It ain't 2009 no more. Yeah, I know what's behind that door. Yeah, they ask me what I'm smiling for. Well, because I've never been this high before. It's like I never felt alive before. I'd rather
so well
have me
put
peace
together.
of mind than war. You see me and you, we ain't that
Flows
different.
so well.
I struck the fuck out and then I came back swinging. Take my time to finish, mind my business. A life ain't a life till you live it. I was digging me a hole, big enough
There's a
to
certain
bury my
sadness
soul.
too,
Weight of the world, I gotta
but
carry
combined
my
with a
own.
certain happy emotion.
These arms, I can carry you home. I'm right here when you scared and alone, and I ain't never in a hurry. You don't never gotta worry, even when it's 7:30 and the time is running low.
And if he is freestyling,
Your heart get
all the
cold.
more impressive.
See what's behind all them unturned stones, and I'm a pro when it come to my job. But really, I'm just trying to start believing in God. Now when it gets hard, I don't panic, I don't sound the alarm, because I don't need to lie no more. Nowadays all I do is shine, take a breath and ease my mind. She don't cry no more. She tell me that I get her high, cause an angel's supposed to fly. I ain't asking why no more. Oh no, I take it if it's mine. I don't stay inside the lines. It ain't 2009 no
In the
more.
context of his passing,
Yeah, I
it
know
hits
what's behind
especially
that
hard
door.
for me as well.
I don't need to lie no more.
Ooh.
Nowadays all I do is shine, take a breath and ease my mind. She don't cry no more.
The decision to add
Tell me that I
harmonies,
get her high, cause
so
the angel's
clever.
supposed to fly. I ain't asking why no more. Oh no, I take it if it's mine. I don't stay inside the lines. It ain't 2009 no more. Yeah, I know what's behind that door.
and I assume behind the door means drugs. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I love in any song when they let the beat and the production go for another 30 seconds or a minute and let it breathe and kind of show off what you crafted. Because I could listen to this instrumental, as mentioned, forever. Initial thoughts before we get to the music theory breakdown and before the full review of the song. I am very surprised at how beautiful that was, and I did hear that it was going to be a beautiful song, so yes, I expected it to some extent, but I found it refreshingly tasteful, and in my opinion there is a bit of juxtaposition between kind of nostalgic but sad lyrics in a sense of lessons learned in a bit of a negative way, combined with a certain blissful and peaceful and happy production. And his rap as well, while it wasn't spitting fire in your typical fast-paced hip-hop song, was still a beautiful flow in my opinion. The song for me certainly felt like it had vision. It certainly felt like it had an artistic identity, that it had a direction from the start. Also, if more songs on this album, I'm assuming, are on par with that in terms of how good they are, it's really no wonder it was nominated for a Grammy. Now granted, to be fair, the certain passing of someone can really help push a certain Grammy nomination, but just going off of that one song, I did think it was very good quality. But before I break the song into different categories, grading them each and arriving at a final song score, let's first go to the Experts Corner for a music theory breakdown and to hear what he has to say.
Welcome to the Experts Corner. This is 2009 by the late great Mac Miller. This song is in the time signature of 4/4 and it's in the key of A major. So aside from the beautiful intro of this song, the rest of it is really just 5 chords, and that progression just repeats itself. I'm gonna go ahead and show you what those 5 chords are. Starts on F sharp minor 7. Then it goes to A over C sharp, or A first inversion. Then it goes to D add 9. Then it goes to A over E, or A second inversion. And then it ends on B minor 7. Here it is in action. So yeah, it's just that repeats for the entire rest of the song on a loop. I really didn't know what to expect when I found out I'd be reviewing a Mac Miller song, but as soon as I started it, I was super impressed with that orchestral intro. Now, I don't know if Mac Miller composed that himself. I don't want to be a dick and assume that he didn't, because I hear that he was quite the multi-instrumentalist. Regardless, I really liked that intro. I was surprised by it. As for the rest of the song, that repeating chord progression, even that is well composed. Those 5 chords have a nice sound to them, and even though they are repetitive, they were composed well. The production sounds tight, it's a well-polished product. But on the flip side, I just gotta say that this genre, this sound isn't my cup of tea. I don't care for the vocal style, I don't care for the rap style. The repetitiveness is a bit of a turnoff for me. But with all of that in mind, I'm gonna give this song a 6 out of 10. Back to you, Francis.
A very special thank you to our expert for providing a music theory breakdown and giving the song a modest 6 out of 10. And now it's time to grade the other remaining 5 categories of the song and arriving at an overall score. Starting out with composition specifically, I'm inclined to give this song's composition a 7 out of 10. Now, assuming our musical expert just gave a lot of information regarding the song's composition, I will keep this brief. Regarding the genre of hip-hop itself, it is historically rare to have any song that has any kind of composition of note. This is simply because a majority of hip-hop, past and present, is going to be a structure of some kind of repetitive loop that you rap over, and then you have a chorus or a hook that is either going to sample something of old or is going to be original from scratch, but is still to some extent always going to be rather simple. You're not going to have many hip-hop songs ever that are going to rival, say, Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, which is some 6 or 7 minute abstract work of art. No, barring albums like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy or To Pimp a Butterfly or Yeezus, so on and so forth, that are more concept albums, aside from those, a majority of hip-hop is really going to be compositionally simplistic, as was this song by Mac Miller. So really, I would be inclined to give its composition kind of a middle-of-the-road 5 out of 10. However, I thought even still, with the chords used in this song and that gorgeous gorgeous introduction, I would bump it up, not even to a 6, but to a 7, in my opinion. Moving on to production specifically, I am inclined to give this song's production a very strong 8 out of 10. Albeit a simple production, I do feel it was very sophisticated, it was very sharp, it was very intricate, and very tasteful, so much so that, as mentioned, when the song was over, they kept it going another 30 seconds, another minute, just to kind of let it breathe and show off what has been artistically crafted. I thought the beat was very fresh, in my opinion. That is a great example of how you make a beat that doesn't have to be generic or redundant like a trap beat that you hear in almost every hip-hop song today. And I really enjoyed the little subtleties, whether it was the decision to throw some harmonies on it towards the end, some subtle usage of strings, some high-pitched vocals, very subtle in the background if you notice them. Little details like that are enough, in my opinion, to make a production go from good to great. And in my opinion, 8 out of 10 is great. Up next we have lyrics, which I'm giving a very strong 8 out of 10. Once again, I thought they were very well written, and while they weren't necessarily mind-blowingly poetic, as some of the greatest songwriters in history have given us, they're still very effective and very fresh, telling a story of lessons learned from 2009 to when he did record this song, how he's evolved, how he's matured, the pitfalls, the setbacks. The writing style, in my opinion, yes, very simple, but effective. And then you throw in the context of his passing, in addition to some of the lyrics, in my opinion, probably hinting at addiction or substance abuse, and the song really hits home, especially with the way he wrote it. Moving on, in other genres that we reviewed, this would typically be vocals, but because it is of the hip-hop genre, we are instead grading the flow, which I am also giving a very strong 8 out of 10. I think a lot of people regarding the genre of hip-hop associate flow with maybe an Eminem style of spitting fire like Rap God or Busta Rhymes. But I'm assuming, as many of you already know, because you're Mac Miller fans, another beautiful way of flow can be something like Mac Miller, can be something like J. Cole, or if we're gonna dial it back to the early 2000s and go a bit underground, Immortal Technique. While in my opinion the flow in this song specifically doesn't quite rival the likes of J. Cole, for example, who would probably get an 8.5 or a 9 in my opinion, this is still, as an 8 out of 10, very respectable, very strong, and as mentioned, great. All right, now arriving at our final category of originality and or inspiration, I am inclined to give this song a very strong 8.5 out of 10. When I'm grading a song's originality and or inspiration, other synonymous words for that might look like vision, right? Or authenticity, or identity, or it being unique. Does this sound like something that's already out? Is this going to fade into obscurity, into oblivion? Was there a mission with this song? How artistic and creative is it? And in my opinion, creating a song that is so tasteful from start to finish, whether we're talking about that gorgeous introduction or the lovely production that they just put on repeat and repeat even after the verses end, combined with autobiographical and nostalgic lyrics about lessons learned and growth and self-love and pitfalls and things of that nature, it makes for a song that absolutely, in my opinion, does have vision, is original, is inspired. And unfortunately, regarding a lot of today's current hip-hop, when you have songs about superficial things, right? Or just stupid things in general that might be catchy and might be fun, but really have no depth to them. In my opinion, it is a breath of fresh air to have a song like this that kind of has an old retro feel to it, back when hip hop, say in the 90s, really had some sort of profound meaning. And as mentioned, yet again, not to be redundant, but in the context of Mac Miller's passing, it just really hits home for me. So if we add it all up, throw in the expert score and average it out, 2009 by Mac Miller from the 5th studio album of 2018, Swimming, gets a very respectable 7.6 out of 10. When you're looking at a number like 7.6, in my opinion, that is just about as good as you can be without hitting the level of great, in my opinion, because 8s, 9s, and 10s would probably be great, even better, and then near perfection, right? So assuming I'm speaking to Mac Miller fans, and of course with the context of his passing, I do not mean for the 7.6 score to be disrespectful in any way, shape, or form. We are just simply reviewing a song for what it is. In my opinion, everything weighed, everything split up, everything kind of dissected, a 7.6 is still very good. And I want to acknowledge that, again, I really haven't heard a whole lot of Mac Miller songs, so of course I am going to encourage you to leave a comment with any other song or album recommendations, perhaps deep cuts that are your favorite, or songs that you would give higher than a 7.6. Now, on behalf of myself, subjectively speaking, this really did open my eyes to the artistry and talent of Mac Miller. As mentioned, I never disliked the guy, but early on when I first heard his stuff, it just wasn't really my thing, and at that younger age, I was quick to dismiss him, so I suppose better late than never that I really do get a good taste for what he was capable of, and most likely an indicative example of what else is out there for me to explore. To you Mac Miller fans, once again, let me and other people who might be new to him know in the comments some of your favorite things about Mac Miller or this album or this song, as well as other recommendations for songs by anybody else that you'd like for this channel to review next. And of course, let me know if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, am I warmer, am I colder, do I have no idea what I'm talking about? And as mentioned, if you'd like to support the work I put into these videos, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to support the channel even further, you'll find Music Kingdom's Patreon and other affiliate links in the description below. This has been another edition of Music Kingdom. Thank you so much for listening with me, and I'll look forward to jamming with you in the next one.